You know what? It's okay. It's all right. We'll learn from this. We'll regroup. And we'll come out stronger tomorrow. Oh, yeah. Never mind. Now, I don't want to alarm anyone. Is your debris cat making too much noise all the time?
I haven't really prepared for this.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Hawks Recap. My name is Clay. Thank you for tuning in. The Blackhawks have just completed their 19th game of the season and are now officially a third of the way through it. Yes, time flies when you are exceeding expectations. Unfortunately, tonight's result did not go the Hawks' way. For the first time during the 6-game road trip, now 5-game road trip, the Blackhawks lose. And for the first time in 15 games, they lose by more than a single goal. Final score, 5-3 against the Carolina Whalers. And speaking of the Whalers, not a fan of the gray jerseys. Sorry, I didn't think they looked bad when they got revealed, but now that I saw them on the ice, not quite it. It certainly didn't help that the away team, the Blackhawks, were wearing white jerseys, so we had a gray versus white matchup, which, I mean, you could tell them apart, but like it's just not a pleasing matchup on the eyes. It bums me because this is coming from someone who thinks the Whalers logo is one of the greatest logos in sports history, and someone who plays on a beer league team that is named the Whalers and wears the green Whalers jersey. Like, I have a lot of respect for the Whalers history and really like, you know, their jerseys and logos for the most part, but this gray jersey, oof, not it. However, I do think that it could be it if they made a change to the numbers. The numbers, I think, are the thing that really drive me away from this jersey, and that's because they're just really difficult to read. If there was a white stroke that separated the green and the blue in the numbers, like the white separates the blue and the green on the rest of the jersey, I think I might have a different opinion of these jerseys. But right now, as they stand, not a fan. But enough about the Whalers, let's talk about the Hawks. We got some news this morning, some good news and some meh news. And we'll talk about the meh news first. And that is that tomorrow's game against the Carolina Hurricanes, the back end of this back-to-back, has been postponed and will be played sometime later on this season. We don't know when, just sometime in the future. And this isn't happening because of the Blackhawks doing anything wrong or having a COVID outbreak or anything like that. It's because there are other teams in the division that need to make up games, specifically the Tampa Bay Lightning. The Lightning were supposed to be playing the Dallas Stars right now, but have you seen Texas? Yeah, that's not happening. And so considering that the Blackhawks have yet to miss a game this season, they've gone through a third of the season unscathed in that department, they can afford to have a game postponed to help get another team like the Lightning kind of caught up with games instead of the NHL waiting until the end of the year to kind of get all these missed games in and just being a cluster at the end of the year. Rather have it just done kind of naturally throughout this season. So NHL's trying to kind of move games around. So instead of the Hurricanes playing the Blackhawks tomorrow night, the Hurricanes are going to be playing the Tampa Bay Lightning tomorrow night, and the Blackhawks will not be playing tomorrow night. They won't play until Tuesday night in Columbus. So it kind of sucks that the Blackhawks now have 3 days to kind of stew over this loss, but at the same time, it kind of is nice that this breaks up their 6-game road trip that is now a 5-game road trip. You know, it kind of breaks it up a little bit, so the Hawks can kind of use it to maybe heal some injuries up. And speaking of injuries, that's kind of where the good news comes in. Connor Murphy, skating at practice. Looks like he's close to coming back. He's been out with an injury for about a week and a half now. I wouldn't be surprised if he is back in the lineup for the Columbus series, and that's good news. The Blackhawks could certainly use him back in the lineup, considering he is one of the Blackhawks' best defensemen. Unfortunately, not in the lineup tonight, so the Hawks had to try and deal with the Hurricanes without him. And, well, it's tough enough to deal with the Hurricanes, who, by the way, I picked before the season to be in the Stanley Cup final. They're a really good team, and not having, you know, your best defenseman out there to face them, well, it's a tough task. Now, the Hurricanes were certainly the better team in this game, and you could easily argue that they've been the better team in all of the meetings between these two teams this season. But if you look at the first two games these two teams played against each other this year, the Hawks got 3 out of 4 points. The Hawks are finding ways to stay with this really good Hurricanes team, to be able to skate with them and compete and make these games competitive. And this game tonight was competitive pretty much all the way up until late in the third period. It was anyone's game up until that point. And it says something about this season that this result tonight, which snapped a 3-game winning streak, first time in 15 games that they've lost by more than 1 goal, that this loss is kind of, disappointing, even though it's against a really, really good Hurricanes team. That says a lot about what the Hawks have already done this season. And then you look at the first goal of this game, and it's one of those goals where you just kind of shake your head at. Just under 5 minutes left to go in the first period. Nino Niederreiter, wide open, kind of left side near the dot, shoots the puck, but it's going wide, and Lankinen really doesn't even have to make a save. But then the puck hits Zadorov's shin pad and ricochets into the back of the net behind Lankinen. Like, what can you do about that? You're down a goal going into the second period to a really, really good team, all because of some bad puck luck. The Hurricanes would extend their lead early in the second period. Blackhawks are out there for a long shift. Hurricanes win a board battle, get the puck out, and Janmark just kind of trips over his own skates, and that causes the rest of the Hawks to kind of panic to try and cover players, and in their panic they leave Trocheck wide open in the slot, and he has a wide open net. And he scores to make it 2-0, and the Blackhawks are down by 2 goals for the first time since the last time they played the Hurricanes. But just like the last time they went down by 2 goals against the Carolina Hurricanes, they would come back and tie the game within that same period. And it all starts with about 3.5 minutes left to go in the second period. Patrick Kane gets sprung into the neutral zone where he kind of trips over himself, so he kind of costs himself an opportunity at a breakaway, but he's still one-on-one with a defender up the right-hand side, which is, pretty good matchup. I mean, how many times have we seen this movie, right? It's a Friday night Showtime special, Savardian spinorama, Patrick Kane backhand shot. I don't know how it still works. He's done it so many times throughout his career. You got to think James Reimer and every other goaltender knows it's coming. And yet, it still works. Even though they know it's coming, he still scores a goal. It's unreal. It's just unreal. And the Blackhawks cut this lead to 1. And then with about 10 seconds left to go in the period, David Kampf takes the puck into the offensive zone up the left-hand side. He would get it to a trailing Ian Mitchell, who has a bunch of room in the high slot. He works his way close to the net before unleashing a shot that beats Reimer, and we have a 2-2 game going into the third period. I think the biggest thing I've enjoyed about this season is the fact that the Hawks continue to play competitive games. Yeah, they've gotten a lot of results to go their way so far this year, but just the fact that even in games like tonight and the last game against Carolina where they go down 2 goals, they find a way to battle back and tie it up and give themselves a chance, even if it doesn't ultimately go their way like tonight's game. In a season where our expectations were low enough where we thought, it could get pretty ugly this year, the fact that we're seeing night in and night out competitive games with the Hawks, that's been really nice. Now, unfortunately, the third period didn't go the Hawks' way tonight. Carolina outshot the Hawks 16-10 in the third, and it certainly didn't help that the Hawks had 3 penalties that they had to kill off or try to kill off. The Hurricanes' power play looked really good tonight. They went 2 for 4. Honestly, I'm surprised that the Hurricanes didn't score on every single one of their power plays. It looked that good. Blackhawks' penalty kill wasn't playing great, but you got to give credit to the Hurricanes. Their power play and their penalty kill, their special teams in general, was much better than the Hawks' special teams tonight. And that is one of the biggest reasons for the difference on the scoreboard at the end of tonight's game. Hurricanes would take the 3-2 lead with a power play goal about 2.5 minutes into the third period. Kind of a fluky goal. Puck hits Lankinen, goes up high in the air. Nobody really knows where it is. And it comes down, hits the crossbar, then hits off Calvin DeHaan and goes into the net. Is what it is. Hurricanes generated enough on that power play that you kind of expected a goal to happen, but how the goal actually happened was kind of like, okay. The Hurricanes would score again with about 5 minutes left to go in the game. Another power play goal, this time Nino Niederreiter would score to make it 4-2. Jacob Slavin would then score an empty netter with about 3 minutes left to go, pretty much right after the Hawks pulled their goalie. And then the Hawks would get a power play goal really late that I don't know how much you really count. 6-on-4 situation. Soderberg with a tip from a Kane shot at the point. And final score is 5-3. So yeah, tonight was just not the Hawks' night. They didn't play well enough against a really good team. It looked like they might be able to kind of squeak out a point going into that third period there, but just wasn't going to happen. You could blame this loss on a number of things. You can blame it on failure to clear pucks, which is a theme for years. Turnovers, which has been a theme for years. Not winning races to pucks, not winning board battles. Lots of things to look at this game and say, you know what, this is the reason why the Hawks lost. But if I'm going to pick one thing, one reason, I'm going to pick it's because of the Hurricanes jerseys. They're just not good enough to be Whalers jerseys, and I think that threw the Hawks off. So hopefully the Hawks can rebound from this, use these couple days to kind of get the picture of those jerseys out of their minds, get focused on Columbus. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Hawks Recap. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Like, share, and subscribe. Appreciate that as always. But most importantly, stay safe, make good decisions, and I'll see you next time.